Welcome to LimaCharlie. This video is a high-level overview of the web application user interface. This video is meant to give you a brief lay of the land and show you where everything is. I'm not going to go into any of the features in depth as we cover everything in detail later in the course. Once you log in at the highest level, you will see your personal dashboard outlining the various organizations for which you are a member. LimaCharlie is multi-tenant, so if you are an MSSP, you can have different organizations for each client accessible here. And then, within each organization, you can have a different set of users that has access. Once we click through, we will see an early version of an analytics dashboard. This dashboard shows sensors online over time as well as events over time. Currently, it is pretty rudimentary, but we are actively developing it and you can expect more soon. Starting from this view, we're just going to quickly work our way down the left-hand menu. First, we have the Sensors tab where we can see a list of the endpoints. Basically, each one of the line items in this list represents a computer. You can see whether or not each is online by looking at the cloud icon. Green means the asset is online, and red means it's currently offline. The clipboard icon will open a pop-up that gives you some general information about the endpoint. From this interface, you can also add and remove tags. Tags show up in the data stream and are tied to events. The laptop icon will open a live view into the sensor. This is a very powerful view that allows you to interact with the sensor in real time. I'm going to avoid opening it for the time being because we will be covering this in detail later. But from this view, you can control which event data is fired from the endpoint, use a command console to interact with the agent in real time, see a live feed of events taking place on the endpoint, get a process list, kill processes, view modules, and check them against VirusTotal's public API. You can also view the file system on the endpoint, view network connections, and use a force multiplier feature we have developed to sweep the endpoints for signs of suspicious activity. As I said previously, this is a very powerful view and we will examine it in extensive detail later in the course. Next, we have the last icon in the series, which resembles a clock. This icon opens a view into the optional historical event data for the given endpoint. By default, this storage is enabled on all new trial accounts, but you have to opt in for production deployments. Again, I'm going to avoid opening the view for the time being because we will be covering this in detail later. But from this view, you can explore and interact with up to a year's worth of stored telemetry data. It contains several filtering mechanisms and a graph that lets you explore parent-child relationships between processes. Also worth pointing out on this screen is the curl command. On most of the tabs, we have included a section like this to help developers get started building their own integrations. The curl command shown here pulls a list of agents associated with the organization and only requires a user to add an API key. And in case you missed it earlier, this whole web application is built using our publicly available API, which means that anything you can do in this user interface can be done programmatically. The API is documented using Swagger and can be accessed at api.limacharlie.io, and the full documentation can be found at doc.limacharlie.io. Below sensors, we have installation keys. This is where you will create and manage the different installation keys used throughout your infrastructure. Installation keys are used when installing an agent and are a great way to divide your infrastructure up into cohorts. Installation keys can also have tags associated with them upon creation. Tags will identify the given assets in the data stream, and it should be noted that tags associated with installation keys cannot be deleted or updated. Below installation keys, we have outputs. Outputs let us configure what data we want to send out and where we want it to go. We have modules supporting Slack, SMTP, Humio, Syslog, SFTP, and SCP. You can send everything you have or filter data down for a particular output so it transmits per tag or a sensor ID. You can have as many outputs as you like, and there's a wide range of security options that can be enabled regarding how your data is transmitted. There are 3 levels of data we can send. We can send all events processed by the agent, we can send only alerts, or we can send audit data, which basically tracks what a given technician has done on the system. Below outputs, we have Dnr Rules, which is at the heart of what makes LimaCharlie so powerful. From this view, you can create any number of detection and response rules. Detections are basically things you want to watch for on the endpoints, and the response component is what you want to happen when that thing is detected. A simple example would be to detect a file with the name evil.exe, and when you detect it, the response would be to kill the whole process tree that it spawned, send an alert to your analysts, and isolate that machine from the network. Pretty simple, but really powerful. This rabbit hole goes deep, and we will spend a lot more time looking at it in detail. But for now, it is enough to think of LimaCharlie as the engine and the Dnr Rules as the scripting language that it processes. To make getting started with this easier, we have created a GUI wizard that helps you construct simple rules easily. This rule creation system has 3 modes to it. The basic one helps you to write very simple rules, stuff like sending an alert when a specific domain is seen or isolating a machine from the network. The assisted mode helps you to create full detection and response rules that can utilize chaining logic, stateful conditions, process bursts, and the list goes on, which is why I'm going to cover it in its own section. Along with these assisted modes, we also have the advanced mode where you can write the raw YAML, and the only limitation is your imagination. Below Dnr Rules, we have the Detections tab, where a list of detections that are triggered are listed. Some high-level details on the detection can be accessed by expanding the given line item, and the Historical Data Navigator can be launched centered around this detection by clicking the clock icon on the right. Next, we have Search, which is only available if you're using LimaCharlie's telemetry retention option. This is a simple but powerful feature that allows you to search all of your assets for indicators of compromise historically for up to a year. For example, you may learn that a widely known exploit was using a specific file and you want to know if that file has ever been seen on any of your endpoints. You could enter the file name here and do a search and know the answer in minutes. If it has been seen, the search will tell you where, as well as the first and last time it was seen on each host. Below Search, we have some general system logs. Management logs, which is basically admin stuff that has been performed on the system. Error logs, which report any errors in system functionality. Something like if one of your outputs stops working. Finally, there's the audit logs, which record everything that is done on LimaCharlie and by whom. Below this, we have sensor downloads, where the latest builds of the agent are available. From here, you can manually update to the newest version of the agent or roll back should you encounter an issue with the upgrade. We leave this as a manual process so that upgrades can be done in a controlled way. LimaCharlie currently supports 32 and 64-bit Windows and Linux as well as Mac OS. Along with what is available publicly, we have also successfully built the agent for 32 and 64-bit ARM architecture using both Linux and Windows. If you're interested in endpoint security for IoT, please reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you. Next, we have the REST API tab where we can create and manage API keys. As mentioned previously, everything that you can do in the web application is built using our publicly available and well-documented API. API keys allow for a high level of granulated permission to allow all kinds of uses. I will cover this more later in the course, but it is also well documented at doc.limacharlie.io. Below that, we have Add-Ons, which is basically a one-click stop and shop of pre-made solutions that we offer as part of the LimaCharlie platform. We offer pre-made solutions for common exploits, a bunch of publicly available threat feeds, and of course our telemetry storage solution. We even have solutions to guard against evil maid attacks. Every option has a little information card so you can just go take a look at what is there and turn on what you need. Below that is billing, which is pretty self-explanatory. On this screen you can add your payment method and request a quota upgrade. Trial accounts come with 2 free agents with telemetry storage, but beyond that you will have to increase your quota. Next, we have the Users tab where we can see a list of users that have access to this organization. LimaCharlie is multi-tenant, so for each organization you can have a different set of users. And below that, we have the Integrations tab, which currently only consists of VirusTotal. LimaCharlie is integrated with VirusTotal such that you can use our API connected to your VirusTotal account to analyze suspicious file hashes. The VirusTotal results are cached for a limited period of time locally on our servers, which reduces the usage of your API key and saves you money. And that concludes our high-level overview of the LimaCharlie web application interface.